Thank you all for being here this evening. It is October 9th. We have our meeting today, so thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for being here virtually. With the agenda, I did fluff a little bit here. So we have our call to order, public comment, and then review and approve agenda. And I was kindly reminded that we need to review and approve the agenda first before we start public comment. So with that, um, uh, I would like to move to change the agenda order and do public comment after review and approve agenda. Do I have a second?
Chair, I'm so moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bradley. Okay, so in reviewing the agenda this evening, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve the agenda with reordering. Yeah, I guess we already did that. Motion to approve.
Thank you,
Second.
Counselor Yeh. I realize that's a double motion request there, so thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we will move forward with our agenda this evening, and we will jump to public comment. We'll jump to public comment. Clary is our new liaison. She is joining us and has kindly posted the instructions for this evening's public comment. So it will be a hands raised situation. So first come, first serve. So please go ahead and raise your hand if you would like to speak. We have 2 minutes to speak, and we have, double checking, we have, I believe, 20 minutes tacked into the agenda to specifically focus on public comment. Yes, we do. So we also have a timer up. That seemed to be a helpful tool for folks. So any and everyone who would like to speak, go ahead and raise your hand again. First come, first serve. And we will get started. Clary, do we have in order?
Yes, I do. The first person to raise their hand was, apologies for my pronunciation, Jacob True. I'm going to unmute you now so you can make comment, and I will start your timer.
Hello there, am I on? Yes.
Yes, you are.
Jacob True here, Ward 1. I wear many hats in the community, but I'm here today with Eyes Off Eugene, a public safety advocacy group who's been pushing for the removal of flock cameras in our community. I applaud the action yesterday of the City Council. I want to highlight Councillor Yeh, I saw you in the room, and I think also Councillor Groves is here as well. I'm not sure about that, I can't see everybody here. But I applaud their action taken yesterday to unanimously calling to pause / turn off all ALPR / flock cameras immediately, pending a deeper discussion on surveillance and data retention policies in the Eugene government. This is the right track for us to go down and will make the community safer in the short and long term. As previously discussed and established, this technology, particularly with flock safety, is harmful and likely illegal. I trust that the Eugene cameras will be fully turned off eminently, like the Springfield cameras are, and swiftly removed by the flock company upon cancellation of the contract. To reassure, although, because under the terms of the contract, we are not allowed to remove the cameras ourselves. By we, I mean the City of Eugene. Flock safety has to do it. But what we can do is we can place black bags or sticky tape over the lenses of those cameras, much as Evanston, Illinois has done while they are waiting for flock safety to come around and actually take those down. I would like to make the recommendation that the City of Eugene take that action to reassure the people of Eugene that they are no longer being, that their actions are no longer being tracked and logged by a private for-profit company based out of Georgia that has a pretty bad track record, and that the city council has firmly established that they do not trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacob. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Jeff with a G. I am unmuting you now.
Testing.
We can hear
Hello?
you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. I'll try to be quick about it. Jeffrey Gordon here, Dr. Jeffrey Gordon, Ward 7. I would just ask Chief Skinner to confirm that they have turned off all the flock cameras and stopped all queries to the system. I would like him to confirm that tonight. And I have a second request. And well, due to Commissioner Rady's public displays of contempt for the public, a record of bigotry, and reports of harassment and intimidation by former members of the Police Commission that have since resigned, I am calling for his removal from the Eugene Police Commission. And so the only way that can happen is for a motion from the chair. The chair of the Police Commission to place a motion on the table to remove the commissioner. Then the commission would then vote on the motion to recommend removal to the city council. That motion, if they voted in favor, it would then go to the city council for consideration, which they are not bound to follow, but they would consider it. So because that's the only way for that to happen, I am calling on you, Commissioner Fox, to make the motion to remove Jack Rady as a commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Cameron with a K.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Alrighty. Hello, my name is Cameron Stringfield. I live in Ward 7, and I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I wanted to make public comment tonight about the ALPR policy that's on the agenda. This is a policy which has been tabled since July, and I think with yesterday's City Council work session and the decision to pause the flock cameras pending City Manager approval in mind, as well as thinking about the political climate in Eugene and the U.S. Generally, police commissioners should vote no on this policy. ALPRs, be they flock or from any other company, are simply another tool for mass surveillance of working class people that leads to real harm, especially towards marginalized communities. When ALPRs mismatch license plates, which happens up to 10% of the time, it leads to unnecessary interactions with police that can result in people getting hurt or killed, and the city's having to pay millions in lawsuits, which this city might have to do if you've read the CLDC letter that says that this would violate Oregon law. Besides this being a very vague and problematic policy, it openly admits that it can be used for routine patrol operations, which is counter to how it's being billed by the EPD otherwise. It also states there would be regular audits of the flock system, but it doesn't state specifically how often or by whom. It is encrypted behind a simple username and password, which is not secure by any means and allows for individual officers to share that password with ICE. Even if EPD says that they would hold that officer accountable, we cannot risk the possibility that a rogue officer shares this information with federal agencies that leads to real harm in our community. If we could just trust EPD at face value, there'd be no need for this commission. I'd end by saying I think many of you on the police commission understand the extraordinary and dark times that we are in. We know what the federal administration is trying to do right here in Oregon. Trans folks like myself are terrified. Immigrants are terrified. Activists around the country are worried that their First Amendment rights won't protect them. The City Council took a bold and courageous step yesterday in pausing the cameras. I ask you to take a bold step and oppose this ALPR policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Rebecca Amadeo.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Amodeo. I live in the River Road neighborhood where like wards 5 and 7 meet. I echo many of my neighbors' statements tonight, like Jacob's statements on the flock cameras. And I also want them taken down ASAP and to have their views obscured or as Dr. Jeffrey mentioned, getting confirmation that the cameras aren't enabled. And I also, am in second endorsing or agreeing with Cameron's requests and reasoning around voting no on the ALPR policy. That's it for tonight.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any other speakers this evening?
We have a couple of call-in speakers, and I don't believe they have the ability to raise their hand. So if the person who has phoned in with the last three digits of 367 would like to speak, I'm going to unmute you right now, and feel free to talk. Okay, I'm going to take that as not wanting to speak. We also have another call-in with the last three digits of 490. I'm going to unmute you now if you would like to talk.
Hello, am I still unmuted?
Oh, yes. Okay, 367. Go ahead. I will
This
start your
is
timer now.
Commissioner Lyman. Yes, sorry, it's Commissioner Lyman, and I'm really having trouble logging into the meeting. You could promote me if you could on the phone while I continue to troubleshoot my Zoom. I think I'm getting close, but yeah, it's just not letting me join. So this is me. Thank you.
I'm so sorry about that. We will work on getting you moved as a panelist. If the call-in with the last three digits of 490 wants to speak, you should be able to now. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Those are all of the that concludes the public comments.
Thank you so much. Thank you, speakers. All right.
Recording in progress. Recording in progress. Recording in progress. In progress. In progress. In progress. In progress.
And please mute yourself unless you are speaking, please. Okay. Pulling up my agenda here. Okay. So previous meeting recap. Our last meeting was September 11th. We had some public comment and we started off doing something a little new, trying public comment in the beginning. Didn't go as planned, but we refigured it out. Thank you, commissioners. And we were able to get public comment at the end there for folks to be able to speak, which was excellent. We reviewed and approved the July 10th meeting minutes. We did elect a new vice chair. Thank you and welcome Vice Chair Bradley for the 2026 fiscal year work year. We had our liaison reports, commissioner comments, chief's report, and just a little bit we had the rough draft of our fiscal year 2025, a review draft, pardon me, of our fiscal year 2025, and then we have our annual report for the fiscal year 2026 and 2027 work plan that will be presented on Monday, October 13th to City Council. We reviewed a little bit of the ALPR 1204 policy. However, Chief offered some information that he was going to be presenting, and it sounds like there has been discussion and communication with City Council since then regarding that policy. And then the immigration law 305, we reviewed and approved that and had closing comments. So with this evening, We are going to look at reviewing and approving our September 11th meeting minutes. So we need a motion and a second. So would anybody like to offer a motion to approve the September 11th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. I'm reading my notes, so please bear with me. Thank you. Okay, so we shall now vote to approve the September meeting. I love it. Hands up already. Okay, so
I think,
yes,
Chair, point of order, I'm sorry, I think,
please.
maybe Commissioner Rady had something that he'd like to share, maybe some debate or perhaps a requested correction.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Beatty.
Correction, it's the only one. On page 10 of our packet, under item 8, the public testimony of Jetty Eddy, who is identified as she throughout the paragraph, except the beginning of the second to the last sentence, where she is identified as he. And something's wrong there, I assume, and should be corrected.
Are we requesting a gender neutral term for Jetty Eddy?
Whatever's appropriate.
Okay. And then I do see two other hands, so I'm unclear. Commissioner Neal or Sergeant Jordan?
I'm sorry. That was a raised hand for voting for the motion, so I will unraise it. Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Sergeant Jordan.
I just wanted to make a correction on page 1 of the minutes for staff present. It listed both Holly Matthews and myself as police commission analyst, but my title probably should be professional standards sergeant. So.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan.
Thank you.
And then Commissioner Wilgus.
What, are we able to remove the public comment instructions now from our screen? Please, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilgus. Okay.
So we'll need a motion to accept the changes to the minutes and approve the minutes with the changes offered.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the minutes with the requested changes made? Or requested changes?
Thank you, Chair. I so move.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Rady. All in favor of approving the September minutes with the amendments spoken today? All raise hand or say aye.
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 Aye. All right, it looks like, let me ask anybody, any nays? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. We have adopted and moved forward with the September minutes. On to the next. Welcoming new commissioners. We have two wonderful new commissioners with us. And I'd love for you to take a moment and just introduce yourselves if you're so comfortable. So we have Kirsten Dunavant and Joshua Bertrand. Would you two like to introduce yourselves and welcome yourselves to the commission?
Hi, thank you. Kirsten Dunavant. I'm with Looking Glass Community Services. I'm the Vice President of Administrative Services there, and we kind of specialize in homeless youth services, residential, mental and behavioral health, outpatient, and then alternative education. And then my kind of focus with them is the overseeing like the IT department, performance and quality improvement, their accreditation and licensing, and then like their CCO contracts.
Thank you, Commissioner Donovan. Welcome. We're happy to have you. And Commissioner Bertrand, welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Bertrand. I'm currently a, senior financial crimes investigator with Edward Jones. I work remotely, actually, and I look forward to serving the community through the Police Commission.
Is it Bertrand?
Yes, yes, it is.
Thank you, Commissioner Bertrand. Welcome. We're happy to have you. Since we're a little bit ahead in time, schedule-wise, commissioners, would you like to do just a brief introduction of yourself, name, and how long you've been on the commission? I'll go first. My name is Amelia Folks. I've joined the commission a year from July, so a little over a year now. And I joined as vice chair this past July and jumped into the chair role. So I am learning and very new. And our commissioners are really wonderful humans and have been helping me all along the way. So if you have any questions, they're amazing humans, please reach out. And if it's, Commissioner Espinoza Blank.
Hi, welcome Commissioners Kirsten and Joshua. We're really happy to have you on board. I've only been on since this starting of this season, so just as this is my third month. Just wanted to do a shout out to Commissioner Lyman. When I was trying to get on Zoom, I had to open up a whole new account because that's why I was on a little bit late. So not liking the Zoom, as you all know. But welcome to the new ones.
Thank you, Commissioner Espinoza Blank. Commissioner Wilgus.
Hello, thank you for joining the Police Commission. I joined at the same time as Commissioner Espinoza Blank, so I am new as well. My name's Katie Wilgus, and I work downtown and look forward to working with all of you. I also had to start a new Zoom account to join this, so my apologies for coming on late.
Commissioner Lyman, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Yes, Commissioner Lyman's happy that the Zoom account that he resurrected didn't have some like name, like moniker on the bottom. That's not appropriate. So I'm happy for that. And welcome, Commissioner Bertrand and Commissioner Dunavant. Really happy to have a full commission and looking forward to some robust discussions. And this is my fourth year. I was concurrently on the Civilian Review Board, and that term ended last year. And now I am devoting all of my energy to the Eugene Police Commission. So welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Commissioner Neal, would you like to say hello?
Hi, yeah, welcome to the new commissioners. Thanks for joining the Police Commission. I am Clay Neal. I'm an architect, and I work at the university as faculty. But the thing that brought me to this is I previously worked in Portland in public safety policy and with the chief of police, so I have some history in that. And I serve on the Civilian Review Board where Alan previously served. So I am actually the liaison to the Police Commission. That's my primary reason for being on the Police Commission, is to be the connector between those two bodies. It's really nice to meet you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Counselor Ye.
Thanks, Chair. Welcome, new folks, to our group. Sorry, we have to do it on Zoom. We don't get to meet you in person right away. I'm the City Councilor for Northeast Eugene, Ward 4. And then my day job, I work for community supported shelters. And I have been on this commission almost I think 8 years by now.
Thank you, Counselor Ye. I didn't know that about you. That's awesome. All right, Commissioner Rady.
I came on the commission the same time that Amelia did, so about a year and a bit. I'm retired. I believe I'm the eldest present. I'm a military historian by trade, among many other things. And welcome. It's really good to have you guys on board. Looking forward to a good year.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady. Vice Chair Badley.
Thank you, Chair. I'm John Bradley. I'm the liaison to the Human Rights Commission from the Police Commission, and I'm also the vice chair here. This is my first year on the Police Commission and my second year in the Human Rights Commission.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bradley. Councillor Groves.
Thank you, Chair. And for our new commission members, Commissioner Donovan and Bertrand, welcome. It's good to have you on board. Look forward to meeting you in person, hopefully eventually. But glad you're here now. I've been on the commission as the liaison since January, but we didn't really have our first meeting this year until about April. So I still consider myself very new to the process. In my work life, I'm retired after almost 37 years in the fire department here, with my final 10 years as chief of department. So I have a pretty good understanding of our police department and have kind of worked side by side for many years. So anyway, that's my background, and glad to have you here.
Thank you, Councillor Groves. And Clary, would you like to introduce yourself? I know you're new as well to the group commission.
Sure. Thank you so much. Let me turn my video on. My office is a little bit dark. Hi, my name is Clary Boos. I am officially the Strategic Initiatives Manager here at EPD. I've been here since 2020. And I recently took over the liaison duties from Holly Matthews. And so all of the technical hiccups that we are experiencing tonight are the result of mistakes that I made. Please don't assume that anyone else bears any of that responsibility. And thank you for your patience as I work out how to get these webinars set up correctly. I think I've already identified what the issue is, so it should be smooth sailing from here on out. So again, apologies for that technical hiccup. That's squarely on me and no one else. And I'm really happy and excited to be here working with you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Clary. And do you have a specific way you like to be addressed? We have commissioners and councilors.
Oh, Clary is perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Clary. And then Sergeant Jordan and Chief Skinner, if you want to say hi as well. Or not, that's good too.
I'll say welcome. I appreciate everybody's willingness to be a part of the commission and especially the newer folks joining. I think we're going to do some good work. I'm the policy sergeant, professional standards at EPD. And so we'll just be working together to make sure that we can dive into policy stuff and make sure that EPD's where they need to be. So thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan. And Sergeant Jordan has an adorable little baby. Oh my goodness, the cutest ever. Okay. Liaison reports. Commissioner Neal, would you like to jump in and share with us your knowledge?
Yes, mine is easy because the CRB has not met since the last police commission meeting. We meet next week, so I don't have updates from that. I do want to say that Commissioner Rady and I met with the auditor earlier this week just to start discussions about some of the issues that we have discussed in this body related to discipline within the police department and how whether or not there are opportunities for oversight of that portion of investigations into police investigations resulting from the auditor's work. As I think the commission knows, the CRB itself does not review discipline that results from findings in investigations into police misconduct. And so one question is whether there's opportunities for the auditor to do that. And that conversation has started, but does not have any outcomes yet. So we'll see where that goes.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Vice Chair Bradley.
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, I was unable to make the last Human Rights Commission meeting back in September because of some work travel limitations. However, I do have a report from them. So there was significant discussion in the Human Rights Commission meeting about the mistreatment of people experiencing homelessness or the unhoused in the community. And the Homelessness and Poverty Work Group was also asked to draft a statement for um, the larger HRC related to ALPR, license plate reader technology. Human rights commissioners expressed continued concern about use of license plate reader cameras, citing privacy, privacy, data sharing, and civil rights risks. Uh, Also, of course, we track in the HRC and receive report related to hate and bias incidents. There were 34 from January to June 2025. Most of them, of course, involving racial bias or sexual orientation. Um, we did receive public comment in the HRC as well, related to license plate reader technology, ALPR technology, immigration enforcement, and some international conflicts. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bradley. Counselor Ye.
Yeah, thank you. I think the major thing that we have that is police related was the flock camera discussion that council had. We unanimously recommended to the city manager that she have the cameras stop taking pictures while we have a larger community conversation about the system. So that has been recommended to the city manager, and I assume she will do her due diligence and report back to council about her about next steps that we could take, which was also part of the motion. Other police related things. Randy, can you think of something?
Well, we still have the city manager process going on. We're still struggling with budget issues. We have a technical advisory group that's looking through the budget right now. My hope is that we all come out with the same understanding of what the budget is and what it isn't. I think that that's necessary to have a firm foundation as we start building what how the city organization is going to either increase revenue or reduce services and how we're going to go about that, or a combination thereof. I just want to speak a little bit about the council work session yesterday. I came out of that very frustrated. There were about half the council. We were in the queue to ask questions, and one of our colleagues made a motion just to take the cameras down. And when a motion is made like that under Robert's Rules of Orders, you can't discuss anything else. We were barred from asking our questions that we had, and I still have questions I want to ask and a discussion I want to have. And I believe some of the other counselors that were cut off had the same feeling. And the counselor that made that motion was given the option of withdrawing it until we could finish the process of the discussion, which that's what I was looking forward to, was a lively discussion, looking at the facts and hearing from each of my colleagues. And that was taken away from us. So my hope is that we can come back at this and finish what we started and really have a thorough and in-depth discussion and make sure we get all the facts that we possibly can. So that is my hope at this time. The original motion also overstepped the charter. And so we had another counselor that made an amended motion, and that one did pass, and we all voted for it. I voted for it as well, but in part because I want to get back and finish what we started and at least be able to look at each other and say, okay, we've vetted this. I don't believe that's happened yet. Half the council vetted it, half did not. And also we're now getting a lot of emails from people who are upset that the flock system is proposed to be discontinued. I still want to work through the process before we get to the final answer, and I don't believe we've done that. So I just wanted to share that. That's my perspective, in my opinion. And I think there's still work to be done. Thank you.
Yeah, the last thing I would liaison is that the Police Commission annual report and work plan, you guys probably remember this, but it is coming to council on October 13th, Monday. Is that right? Yeah. And I assume that chair and vice chair are probably going to be are the ones that are going to be there, but we're looking forward to that. If you guys want to tune in and see how it goes, I hope you will.
Thank you, Counselor Ye and Counselor Groves. And we're gonna jump into commissioner comments. So, Counselor Ye, would you like to start us off?
Sure. I just want to thank folks that came today to speak. I did want to say that one of the folks that commented said that the police commission exists because, or alluded to that the police commission exists because we don't trust EPD, and that's actually not the mission or the purpose of the police commission. The police commission is designed to be a bridge between the community and the police department and to foster mutual respect and cooperation and just a better understanding of police and community and to find that middle ground. So it's not an oversight, it doesn't have an oversight role. And so it's all about community building and shared learning and all of those things. And I think that's really important, and I think we all try to keep that in mind as we're doing our work. And I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. And that's all I have, Chair. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Counselor Ye. Commissioner Espinoza Blank.
Sure. I wrote down a couple of things. I feel like I really haven't gotten a good understanding as to why we're doing this with Zoom. I understand back in 2020 when we were worried about people's health and COVID was rampant, why we had to do this. One of the reasons that I joined is because I would like to establish some relationships and also hear from the community. And that is a way to foster respect and cooperation with our community. I feel like doing it this way, I feel like I'm looking through a telescope. I can't nod, I can't smile, I can't see what people are doing facially. What is being, if there's something funny, it's, to me, it is really a barrier, and it is preventing us as a commission and also the community from seeing us as a functional group of people. If it's short-lived, I can roll with this. If it's long-term, I'd really like to find an alternative way to meet. And I think that's basically how I'm feeling right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Espinoza Blank. Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you, Chair. Before I take a little bit of the bait that's been put out there on this issue, I'll go to the police things. I did have the opportunity to participate in the CRB selection process. I mean, 18, I think, don't hold me to that, but I believe 18 for one opening. And a robust, strong group of candidates from which Clay, you'll get a good new colleague, I'm sure, when the city council makes that decision. The other thing that's kind of new on police commission is this public is spilling over to my email box, which is absolutely fine with me. And my remark about it is it's been very respectful, and it has not. It's a sign of increased visibility of this commission and its role, which kind of is a little segue into the as to Commissioner Groves, I won't comment on what happened at council, but the fact that there's a pause, if there is one, we don't know whether there will be or not, but if there is, it gives a chance to air it and talk about it and analyze it. And for instance, tonight, before reviewing a policy like that could easily change, we might want to discuss like how, what the timing is. And then the meetings, it kind of implicates what Counselor Ye was saying about the role of this commission when Chief last meeting, when the issue was raised about our safety, that was kind of a new twist for me. I had not considered that. I was among the crew that didn't feel, inside the police building, in any kind of, but I could understand. I had empathy for those expressing that. I could understand it. I didn't have it. But it raises the issue of, you know, we have a police liaison, our liaison to the city and to the counselors and to the manager is through the police department, and they graciously host us and do provide security for us. But when it came up earlier this year that we couldn't table without them present, there is a discussion I think that the commission needs to undertake at some point, about how much do we want to assert, that even though we're advisory and we're not oversight and we're not, that we are a commission of citizens and we are not part of the police. We're designed, as Counselor Ye said, to assist and advise, but so it's part of a broader discussion. It's not for tonight, but since it's coming up, it is tied to where we meet and meeting in person. It seems to all be kind of related. So that's it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Commissioner Neal.
Uh, I'll just say, thank you, Chair. I'll say that I would love to, at some point when we're maybe talking about the camera policy, sort of understand or at least communicate to the public also and to ourselves what our role is. Some of the statements in public comment, which I'm really glad people came to provide public comment, but I agree with Councilor Ye. There may be some misconception about what we do and don't do as a police commission. And so just understanding what our role is in that policy development and, voting no on a policy does not mean voting yes or no on a policy does not mean that we as individual commission members agree with or don't agree with something that is a public discussion about, surveillance. It's a little bit more finite than that. So just talking about that nuance, I think, will be important when we get to policy discussions and what our role is as charged by charter. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Commissioner Rady.
Good evening. I would have to express some disappointment in the city council discussion last night, which I watched. And I noted also what Commissioner Groves pointed out, that the chance for the detailed discussion and give and take just disappeared almost immediately. And I was quite impressed, which apparently the council was not, by the chief's presentation. The one thing that struck me in the presentation really hard was there was a pie. I don't know if you've seen the meeting, but there was a pie chart presented showing the data that the police department holds. And like 1% of that data is clock data. And the rest of it, far more in detail than license plate pictures, identifies individuals. And every last bit of that is as potentially vulnerable to federal government hacking as the information from license plate. That fear of the federal government is a very real fear being expressed by the public, some of the public. But it is not always well informed as to the danger present in this situation. And if you follow the logic against the license plate readers, that same logic will lead you to the conclusion that the police and doctors and the educational system and the welfare system and the tax system should not keep records, because all of them are vulnerable to potential exploitation by a lawless fascist regime, should it be in Washington, D.C. The emotional response is real and proper. The conclusions from it, I think, are mixed with a sentiment from on some quarters that are not just fear of privacy intrusions or fear of federal overreach, they are opposition to policing. And we have to face that there is a segment who really don't think the police should do what they do. And we should not mistake that for useful information in our work. Thank you. And welcome to the new commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady. Councillor Groves.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just want to add in, I thought Chief Skinner did a very good job of explaining what the system is and what it isn't. We've been listening for months now of people coming and testifying on the license plate reader system. And, there's a lot of people that are under the impression that it's shooting video, and it takes still photos. The cameras are not video cameras. They're still camera pictures, and we saw examples of what is captured. At this point, though, I still really desire to get back and finish what we started and finish and have a robust discussion that hopefully is factually based and where we come out of it. The other piece I want to share is listening to my colleagues, and I agree with what I heard, which was the majority, that the apprehension is not with Chief Skinner or the EPD, and it's nothing against the officers. The concern was with Flock as a company and as a privately held company, and I think some politics are getting mixed in with reality, but that is people's reality, and I understand, and I'm sensitive to how people are feeling about the direction our country is going right now. But and we're getting some spillover on that. I've got to believe if this were a time where we didn't have all the conflict we have now on a national basis, the discussion about this tool would be very different. And keep in mind, we are challenging all of our department heads and the city manager to be looking for ways when we don't have adequate funding, we don't have adequate staffing in a lot of areas, how can we close that gap with technology? And that's really what the license plate reader system is. And then now the question is, where do we go from here? And, again, I'm looking forward to continued discussions on that. And I hope that the Police Commission follows that closely. And then the last thing I want to say is I appreciate what Councilor Ye said as far as kind of defining our responsibilities as a police commission, and also what Commissioner Neal said. I think they're spot on. Our job is to put a public eye on reviewing and advising on police policy. That's our role. I think sometimes people get confused when they hear the term commissioner. They thinking of Tom Selleck on Blue Bloods, and that's not the way we operate here. This is a community member-driven group that's appointed by council to help advise and provide that community lens to policies that affect the way our community is policed. That's our purpose. That's why we exist. So with that, I'll say thank you, and I look forward to hearing from the rest of you.
Thank you, Councillor Groves. Commissioner Wilgus.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a lot more to add. Thank you to both of our counselors who gave those updates. I too had an opportunity today to meet with our new independent police auditor, had a great discussion, and feel like we have great support there. So that's all I have to share. Other than I apologize if you see me blowing my nose. I'm getting over a cold and feeling under the weather.
Well, thank you for being here with us, Commissioner Wilgus. Hope you feel better. Thank you. Vice Chair Bradley.
Thank you, Chair. many of the things that I wanted to say, others have already said better than I would have said them. What I will add or maybe emphasize is that um, in these discussions, it's difficult to get, it's possible to get weighed down in the content and the emotion and kind of miss the roles that we all play. And so, what I have reminded myself of in the last couple of months here as we've been discussing this is that, this is a policy advisory body that also reports up to another essentially policy advisory body that reports to and or employs city staff that and a city manager that hold final decision making in this. And though I think I agree with that we need further discussion and further discussion and opportunity to ask questions, it's going to be really helpful. And I am glad that we have requested, or that the city council has requested, a temporary halt to the use of the technology until uh, this body and the city council are assured of the information security and privacy concerns. Of course, right now we're really talking about um, a request to the city manager. There are other items and like contractual obligations that have to be considered, and that I'm certain the city manager is working on right now. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bradley. And Commissioner Bertrand, if I want to say it correctly, so please correct me if I incorrectly state your name, but Commissioner Bertrand, do you have any public comments for this evening?
Thank you, Chair. Well, I just want to thank everyone, giving some warm welcomes to myself here in the commissioner event. I will speak for myself in saying that to be transparent, I still have a lot to learn about, of course, the commission itself, but also regarding the new technology with cameras and so forth. I think it's important for us to have kind of a robust discussion of this and more about the facts. And I think it's important to note, as previous commissioners have just said, is that, due to the political climate, it's understandable that tensions are a little bit high right now, but it's important for us to, as a commission, to look at those facts and make a decision from those. And so I look forward to learning more and working with you guys in the future regarding that matter.
Thank you, Commissioner Bertrand. Commissioner Donovan. Is it Donovan? Donovan?
Donovan, yeah.
Donovan. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's been so many good comments made, so I don't have a ton to add at this point, but I will say that I do appreciate being able to hear the public comments and then the comments from all of the commissioners before we get into all of the policy work.
Button. Thank you, Commissioner Donovan. Thank you all, commissioners, for your thoughts and feelings and speaking this evening. I have just a couple comments. So first and foremost, this is a temporary situation, y'all. Thank you for bearing with us. There are moving parts. Clary just joined us. She's new. She and I have been getting to know each other. We're trying to figure things out. I've mentioned I've had some personal stuff going on, not to say that should make our commission virtual, but that has been one piece of the pie. And EPD is wanting to be very mindful in coming back in person. And so they need time to figure that out. And I support that. They want to do it correctly and they want to make sure everybody's good. And there's obviously other moving parts that are happening within that. So please bear with us. It is temporary. We will get back to in person. It just might be December. I don't know if we can get back into November, but we will get back. It is temporary. Please hang on for just a little bit longer. It sucks. I'll be honest. I like in person too. I love snacks. I like getting to know you and talking to you in person. It's really great. So I look forward to that when we come back together. And think of it this way too. The plus side is, it's flu season, and so it's one less thing we have to worry about. We will be back in person. I promise we will. There was a comment made in public comment that I'd like to address regarding Commissioner Rady. Commissioner Rady is a valued member of this commission, and I will not be removing him or putting a motion to remove him in any way, shape, or form. When we join the commission, we are vetted by the mayor, city council. We also have to submit a whole application and interview questions. And this commission is made up of Eugene citizens. And I do not want to be an exclusionary leader. I want to be an inclusionary leader. I don't know if that's in word, but I want to be inclusive and I want to learn from what we have. Commissioner Rady is a wonderful human. I really encourage you to take the time to get to know him. We don't always speak things the same way or communicate the same way. And I would just really offer pause to give folks a moment to express themselves or take a moment to learn. Maybe I say things that I don't necessarily know the impact or the intent that it will have on another person. So I just ask you to please have an open mind and let's be inclusive. And if there are hard conversations that need to happen and take place, and if people are feeling uncomfortable, let's have those conversations together and continue to work and build on the work that we have on this commission. So I wanted to address that. And I value all of our commission members because the reality is we want different perspectives on this commission. That's kind of the thing. If we all thought the same way or had the same beliefs, it'd be pretty boring and we really wouldn't get anywhere. So having the differing opinions, thoughts, and beliefs, I really value and appreciate with all of our commissioners. The ALPR stuff, I still don't know enough, to be perfectly honest. I still haven't made up my mind on what it is. But within our role as a commission, we review policy. And the reality is we live in a country right now where our federal government is not the same as maybe we've experienced. I'll just be honest and say that it sucks. People are fearful because we have fear-based tactics happening right now and are really harming a lot of the citizens in this country. What do I say? I also acknowledge that we're in a technology-based, this is kind of our realm, is everything is technology. And I really love what Counselor Groves had to say in that let's have a conversation, let's learn more about it, let's get more information. The reality is I think if somebody has bad intentions for something, they're going to get what they need from any source. And I'm not trying to minimize folks' fears or thoughts on this specific camera. I'm saying I don't have enough information. I really like the idea of having more information and the more dialogue we can have. And I do think we should continue to talk about that specific policy so that if and when that does come, because again, we're technology based and maybe it's not ALPR, but it's a version of ALPR that comes down the road. If we kind of set that precedent and that policy of how we want to look at that type of technology, I think it would be a great conversation to have. So that's all I have for public comment or commissioner comment. Thank you. And I'm juggling screens. I have notes and all this. So again, I can't wait to be in person too. We will get there. Thank you for your patience. And again, thank you for your support. All commissioners, you have all been very kind and supportive and gently guiding me. So I appreciate your support so very much. And I'm so excited for our new commissioners. So very excited to have you and can't wait to meet you in person and get to network with everybody, excuse me. Okay, next up we have Chief's report. Chief, do you have any comments or reports to give this evening?
I'll just take a real quick minute and introduce myself to the new commissioners. My name is Chris Skinner. In my 35th year of service to both Oregon and Washington State, I've been a chief for almost 15 years. In the last 15 years, I've been a chief of police in Washington State and over 7 years here. And so I'm a resource to you, for you. I've seen a lot of things. There's not anything that I probably haven't experienced that I can shed some light on. And my staff here, both Allison, Sergeant Jordan, and Clary, Just understand that the three of us are here as invited guests to this commission. We're not members of the commission. We don't vote on things. We're here as a resource. We're here to help you get your work done. I've long struggled with the term commissioner because in my world in police, commissioners are often akin to being chiefs of police in many other jurisdictions. And so we've seen other commission members in the past, I believe, abuse that title and leave people to believe that they have some level of oversight or authority over us. And I think it just confuses people. I really think of you as more of a police policy advisory board with a board chair and board vice chair. It doesn't roll off the tongue nearly as well, but just know that we lean on you to make sure we're building really good police policy that governs the work that we do through the eyes of the constituents that you represent. And so that's important work. And this group's done some really important work in the past, and I'm excited about your work session or your upcoming couple of years because you have a really good work plan that I believe really focuses on policy as opposed to things that are in the past have been a little bit outside our swim lane for this particular group. So other than that, I'm going to leave it there because I'm not gonna be verbose with respect to my comments, and I'm going to let you get to the work that you want to do.
Thank you, Chief Skinner. All right, so the next agenda item is the ALPR 1204 EPD policy. And I've got notes here. Just a moment, please. Bear with me. Okay. All right. So, I'm trying to think if we need a motion. I'm reading my notes. Bear with me. Okay. So do we want to just openly speak about the policy? Sergeant Jordan, I guess I should ask you, do you have any comments specific to the ALPR 1204 at this time?
No new comments from me.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan. Should we open it up for discussion? Is there a motion to, Commissioner Rady? You're on mute, Commissioner Rady.
Oh, there we go. Okay. We can either just start discussing the policy, or we can make a motion to adopt the policy, and then the discussion will be about the policy either way. I don't particularly care one way or the other. It'll end up the same. We can discuss it now and then have a motion at the end of our discussion if someone wishes to make a motion to adopt the policy as written or to amend it. That's up to the chair, how you'd rather handle it. Either will work.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady. Commissioner Lyman?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's kind of an answer to your question, and if I'm the only one that's thinking this, then I'll just be quiet about it. But to me, the information that Counselor Groves is seeking at council is the data collection and retention and the accountability and safeguards. Both of those are the things that people have the most questions about. Those are the things that if there's going to be conditions set for, I don't know how it's going to go. So I'm just kind of wondering, is this the use of should we do this now? If we pass it, I'm questioning the review of this policy at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Commissioner Donovan.
Great. Yeah, I just had a question about kind of the oversight compliance. This kind of came up in the public comment about the policy mentioning the audits, but didn't kind of quite define like the frequency and then who would conduct them. So I was just curious if there was plans to implement something along those lines, and then if there was any plans to implement language around like technology misuse if that is discovered.
Thank you, Commissioner Donovan. Can anybody answer this? I can't answer that right now. Counselor Groves, excuse me.
Sergeant Jordan was raising her hand. I think she might have an answer for you.
Thank you, Counselor Groves. Sergeant Jordan.
I don't have an answer for everything, but I do have an answer that I think the language for the audit timeline was going to be changed to quarterly.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan.
Thank you.
Commissioner Donovan, does that answer your question?
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Counselor Groves.
Thank you, Chair. I certainly understand what Commissioner Lyman was saying. But again, we don't know, is this going to be paused or is it not? And right now we're running without an adopted policy. I would suggest, in fact, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt the policy as written. And if I have a second, I'll speak to that.
I'll second.
Okay, if I could continue then speaking to this point, my rationale for this is we don't know where this thing is going yet, and if we don't take action and we continue to table this and push it out, then we're operating without an adopted policy. Policies can always be changed. And if something changes in the process as we get more information, or if they go away altogether, the policy can always be rescinded or it can be modified. But right now, as someone who worked in public safety policy a lot, I think one of the worst things you can do is not have something written down of what the expectations are that give clear guidelines to the people who are using the technology. So I just think it would give better footing that we work with what we have in front of us now, and then we can always come back and, like I said, modify or recommend to rescind later.
Thank you, Counselor Groves. Vice Chair Bradley.
Thank you, Chair. My comment is very similar to Councilmember Groves, that it's we're not in a position to state or advise as to whether at this moment whether the technology should exist in a community. I think the question before us now is, essentially it exists, it is in place. Is this policy sufficient for use? And so it may sound to the community, and is likely to sound to the community as we talk about the policy, that this body or others are in favor of it. However, that's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand is if this policy is adequate for the police department's needs and the community's needs. My only thought after looking at specifically at 1205.5 at this moment for this specific situation is, does it make any sense to add language related to or referencing back the lack of, or essentially that we do not share this information, we do not share our data with Immigration and Customs Enforcement specifically. There are, of course, other or for crimes, that are in other municipalities or jurisdictions that are not crimes here, which are probably the two big human rights and concerns right now. So I think that what comes from that is the question for Chief Skinner and for Sergeant Jordan, is a mention of the lack of data sharing between ICE of the federal government, for instance, in this instance. Is it duplicative in your view?
Well, all I would say, Vice Chair Bradley, on this is We can certainly state that, but I mean, it's deeply codified in ORS that we don't do that as a sanctuary state. And so it does feel a bit duplicative to be able to say, hey, heads up, boys and girls, don't violate the law. Um, so, but I also recognize that sometimes making statements in policy is less about reminding us what to do or not to do, and more about the statement that it makes to the people that are reading our policies, because they are public facing. So I could go both ways on that. I would just point out that from the moment we hire a baby cop, we drill into them exactly what the expectation is when it comes to sanctuary state, and specifically, sanctuary laws under 181A 820, and what we can and can't do.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Chief. Counselor Ye.
Thanks, Chair. So first, I also agree that we should need to work on this policy. I think especially in times when there is something that you are concerned about, making sure the policy is as good as it can get is even more important, I believe. So, we don't know what's going to happen with the system. So I think pushing forward and getting a policy that we can recommend is worth our time at this point. I did have one question about the policy under 1204.3 C. It says it can be used in conjunction with any routine patrol operation or official department investigation. And I'm wondering, routine patrol operation, I'm not sure exactly what that means, because I thought it had to be something that was being investigated. And I'm wondering if you can explain what the difference is between those two things. And
Sorry about that. I was having trouble there. I think that probably when you see in B, where it says ALPR shall only be used for official and legitimate law enforcement business, that should cover everything we do. We could probably clean up C in the sense, because routine patrol operation, official department investigation, I mean, all of those things are legitimate law enforcement business. The majority of the way this is going to use is going to be some reasonable suspicion or probable cause because of the vehicle we're looking for may be associated with an investigation that we're doing in a crime and an associated crime. But for instance, Amber Alert, missing and endangered, silver alerts, those are all types of things that don't necessarily have reasonable suspicion or probable cause, because it's not a crime to walk away from a care facility, or drive away, in this case, from a care facility, and for us to want to find you. So it is a little bit, I would agree with you, feels like it's a little bit too many words in there.
It just seems like it's kind of like it to me, as a person who is not an officer and not trained, it sounds like, well, anything now, anything you could, I'm just curious about that car, I can look it up. It kind of feels that way, and that may not be what it means, but that's like, for a layperson, that's how I read it. Like,
no, that's fair enough. I mean, because we have some pretty strict rules around I mean, when as you saw in the work session, they have to put in a reason for the search and an associated case number or CAD number.
Mm-hmm.
And so that therein lies the meat on the bone for us to be able to justify the use. And would you have that use during routine patrol? Yeah, probably. Or you could. You just need to articulate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably a little squishy, and Allison and I can maybe work on how we clean that up a little bit.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Ye. Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I understand the reasons that you're giving. I would point out that this policy is effective as of June of this year. So this is the policy, and this is our opportunity to review the policy. And even if, as Commissioner Bradley says, we're not endorsing it, if we're we're discussing it and talking about it. And my point is, I am understanding that the process that the council's engaging in, that the community is asking for, is to flesh out some of these issues, and perhaps it's going to change in terms of guidelines or consensus of the use. If we're going to do it, I want to talk about 1205.5D, which is that they may be released to other authorized and verified law enforcement personnel and agencies at any time for a legitimate law enforcement purpose. And if I'm reading it correctly, it's going to be probably the public records program supervisor that's going to make that determination. But that one hits right on the thing about Texas misusing this system, or how do we know that when Virginia asks for, this information, that it's for, so that's why I was counseling waiting, because I think that there's still a lot of unanswered questions. But if we're gonna do it, then I'd like to see that one, or I'd like to hear a comment about, safeguards or guardrails in place, to prevent others from abusing our data. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Commissioner Espinoza Blank.
Yes, I'd like to piggyback on to what Commissioner Lyman is talking about. What I've heard from the community and the notes that I've gotten and speaking to people is that we're looking realistically at what's happening up in Portland. It's in our backyard. This administration is threatening to jail people. They're threatening to use the DOJ against people. And we have this piece of technology that's taking in data. And I think that what people really want to hear is that that data is protected. We are all on board being behind the police department, utilizing these kind of technologies to find Amber Alerts, to, fugitive looks out stolen vehicles, all of that, 100%. We want that to happen. But what we don't want to happen is for that data to be available for the DOJ to use for stopping people from using their First Amendment rights, utilized against demonstrators, because all that data can be tracked as well. So I don't know how it would be worded, but in that same line of thinking, if there is some way that we can say that if the federal government is asking for that information, that it gets dumped and erased immediately. Something like that, I think, would make people feel like, okay, at least Eugene knows what's coming down the pike and they're going to be proactive. The government doesn't like us being a sanctuary city. That gets on their nerves too. And if they decide that that's what they're going to do, is go after sanctuary cities and prosecute them and really make their life miserable, that's something that we could foresee that happening. So again, that's probably the kind of wording, or that's where I'd like to see a lot of the energy put.
Thank you, Commissioner Espinoza Blank. I had some thoughts. So my understanding of policy as a whole is there's policy, there's subsections, right? It goes down tiers. So one of the main policies, my understanding, is we are a sanctuary city, sanctuary state, and that kind of anything after that will kind of follow that logic, that policy rule. So with the wording, I guess my question to you, Chief, is because that policy of being a sanctuary city is in place, does that kind of overshadow or umbrella all the other policies? So that wording that's in 1205.5, that's kind of assumed that we're sanctuary city, so those terms would apply. Hopefully,
Well, this is a lot like the comment I made prior, is under 181A20, it clearly articulates that we cannot use public resources in the facilitation of immigration enforcement. Whether it's personnel, technology, equipment, none of that stuff can be used. And so the assumption could be made by some that if we're following our law, which I would hope people would understand that we do that, we would not be using any public resource, to include this technology and any subsequent data that we collect in the furtherance of immigration enforcement. So one of the things that I shared yesterday during the work session was some tightened up or more specific language in the vendor contract that might inform us in this particular policy, and the duplicative in this particular policy that really calls out the instances in which information is shared with verified law enforcement personnel. Now, we administrative warrants we're calling that out as not sufficient to share, and we are not recognizing DHS, Department of Homeland Security, which governs ICE, for instance, as being a law enforcement entity that we would share information with. And so we can make that declaration here. Having said that, understand that if there's a federal subpoena signed by a federal judge that commands us to release data, we're going to have to release the data, subject to being in contempt of federal court. So, but until such time that we get slapped with a federal subpoena signed by a federal magistrate, the way this usually works is you get requests from other law enforcement agencies. Like, for instance, one of the homicides that we were able to solve was, I believe, a request out of Wisconsin where they called us and said, "Here's the situation. Here's what we have. We think they're in Eugene. Can you see if the plate shows up?" And we were able to help solve that case. We try to verify and we vet those, because ultimately what happens is we do the looking in our system on behalf of the other agencies. We don't just give them the back end of our system and say, "Do what you want to do." We actually have to fill out that form that says, "Here's what we're doing." It's an agency assist, unless we already have a data sharing agreement with them. And right now, that's just in the state of Oregon. So if anybody outside of the state of Oregon wants to look at our data, we do that on their behalf after we ask them the right questions about whether it's legitimate, do you have a case number, and then we fill in that information, which is helpful for the audit that we would be able to do. So this isn't just as simple as just saying, open up the floodgates and saying, "Hey, go take a look at our data, see if there's anything that's of interest to you." We actually engage them in an interactive conversation before we share any data.
Thank you, Chief. Can I add to that? And is that true for any data? If there were a federal judge mandating you hand over data, that's not necessarily, is that specific to ALPR, or could that be anything?
That's anything. I mean, we will get subpoenas all the time for information. Now though, there's other requests that are eligible under Freedom of Information Act, Oregon Public Records Law, but sensitive data that's in CAD system, RMS, NCIC, LEDS data, all that stuff. Generally speaking, if you don't already have access to that as a CJIS compliant agency, we would get a subpoena to produce that data if there was some reason why we wouldn't share. So you just don't see, we don't see that much though. We're talking about, this is like a 0.1% of all the data that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We very rarely see these types of situations, but I understand people's concern that, what if this happens, or what could happen? So.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner, or pardon me, Vice Chair Bradley.
Sorry, Chair. I think Commissioner Rady was in front of me.
My
I just want to make
apologies.
sure.
Commissioner
Apologize.
Rady.
Actually, I think John was in front of me, but I'll go. Question on exactly what the Chief said. Chief, okay, so if an outside the state agency has a request, they ask you and you search and you tell them, "Yeah, we found something," or "No, we didn't." What if an Oregon agency asks, that one of the ones we share with? What happens then? Do we do the search, or do they search our?
Yeah, so right now, so if an outside, you're right, as an outside agency outside of Oregon, if they said, "Hey, we think we've got a suspect vehicle in your town, will you take a look?" We do that search for them, because it really doesn't do them any good, because they're not the ones driving around our town getting these alerts that the vehicle just crossed this particular point of thing. So I mean, it makes no sense to them to ask unless we're doing that work. The same with the outside agency in Oregon. Yes, there are some. Those list of agencies in the work session right now have access to our data. But the value for that is just to simply confirm that their suspect vehicle is in our town. But where the real work happens is with us chasing that down. We don't have agencies in town driving around getting alerted and chasing suspect vehicles down. It really validates, hey, they're actually in Eugene like we thought, and then they turn around and ask us, hey, we've got a suspect that we'd like you to see if you can stop and let us know, and then we do that work on their behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady and Vice Chair Chief. Vice Chair Bradley.
Thank you, Chair. This question is for the chief again. So, Chief Skinner, is it causing any problem for this particular policy to be in review for, well, I guess it's going to be months at a time here. Is that causing any trouble or problems for a police department?
I would say no. I mean, as stated earlier, this policy is kind of the baseline policy that started in June. It gives us some framework by which we do this. We're also further as we continue to have these discussions internally to the organization. You know, I've put some command directive types of things in place, like for instance, you know, the filling in the reason and the case numbers. We're doing some things that I think are just and reliable around this system that I don't think are causing problems that we don't see within the four corners of this policy.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Espinoza Blank.
Oh, yes, one more thing. Yes, Chief Skinner, I think the federal subpoena is exactly what our community is afraid of. Is there anything that we could do in terms of writing in to make sure that that doesn't happen, that they won't be compliant with that? Is that something that's reasonable?
Yeah, I don't know, Commissioner. I mean, it's what you're asking us to do is violate federal law. If it's a signed federal document that commands law enforcement to comply, then what you're asking is you're asking local law enforcement to violate federal law. So that's a tough one to solve.
I guess asking is if you knew that you were getting a federal subpoena, I don't know if you'd have much time, but can you get rid of the data so you cannot give it to them? Or is that
so you want me to destroy evidence? That's a whole different issue.
Oh, okay.
And lucky for me, that the auditor's office doesn't have purview over me. You go straight to Sarah with that issue if I destroy evidence. So it's nuanced, right? It's nuanced. We've got this the state statute that says we are not going to use personnel and or public resources to enforce immigration law. The federal piece of this would be mostly come in the way of a federal warrant for somebody, and that's clearly articulated in the statute that there's a federal warrant. That is the only instance in which we can engage is if there's a federal warrant. The in-between piece is if for some reason we get a subpoena, which is a request from the court to submit some level of data, and if we can connect the dots somehow with that as being facilitating or using our data to help the furtherance of immigration enforcement, then what you would have is state law in conflict with federal law. And honestly, that would be well above my pay grade to litigate on what we would do. We probably likely would ask for a local magistrate to, file an injunction to hold off on the release until we got some kind of higher court decision. So it's much more complex than whether it's like, do we or don't we?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Espinoza Blank and Chief. Councillor Groves.
In destroying evidence, Chief, you have the right to remain silent. Hey, actually, I do. One of the questions, had I been given the opportunity yesterday, to ask, Chief, is one of the, well, actually, there's two people that we've heard from frequently from the public that identify as being technical security experts. One of them sounds very knowledgeable. I mean, I haven't vetted his credentials. I don't know anything more about him, but when he talks, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and I'm sure you've probably heard him as well. And one of the things he keeps bringing up is concerns about the vulnerability of Flock's data for hacking. And that's a piece that I think there's some I mean, it'd be nice to know the answers. I'm sure Flock is going to say, no, we're fine, and they've had their data experts. Do you know, have has Flock had an independent, disinterested third party security firm come in and do an analysis? Do you know if there's anything like that that's been done?
I don't know the answer to that, Councilor Groves. What I will tell you is that Flock will tell you that there's never been a security breach of their data as long as they've been in existence. That's not to suggest that it can't happen, because we know that it can. I mean, our own Social Security Administration, IRS, every government agency we know has had some level of data breach and personal identifying data released through that. The good news is that none of the data that's stored in this particular database with Flock Safety has PII in it. So if you did breach this database, you would get a ton of pictures with dates and times and locations, and that would be the extent of it. All I can say is that, when we vetted Flock and our ISD department vetted Flock, they have all of the credentialing, all of the security certificates, all of the compliances up through and including HIPAA and FERPA and all sorts of acronyms that we don't know about to suggest that they are as secure as any data that we have stored. And the last thing I would say is oftentimes people are under the belief system that somehow if we had this as an on-premise solution with the servers, that would be more secure. And I would say that one of the least secure environments is an environment that we house with respect to CGIS data. There's way too many entry points into that, and that the cloud environment is, especially the Amazon Web Services government cloud, also to include the Microsoft Azure government cloud as being one of the more secure places we could have data.
I appreciate that. Just a suggestion, and you can do with it what you wish. When we do pick this discussion back up with the council, it might be worthwhile having someone from ISD show up and speak to the security measures, at least that they see, with how the data is stored and accessed, because that is one of the things I have, well, we have consistently heard from the public. And I think as we start peeling back the layers of the onion, I think it's important that we are able to respond to and address these concerns, because people's perceptions are their realities, as you know. And I just think it's important that we keep peeling the layers away and looking at it and then make a determination. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Groves. Commissioner Wilgus.
I wanted to revisit the conversation between Commissioner Espinoza Blank and the chief for a second. Chief, it's my understanding that even if the federal government required us to give information, it would have to be a request that came in within a 30-day window unless we had an ongoing investigation happening. Otherwise, the data's gone. And there wouldn't be an opportunity. I think this is the point I wanted to clarify. There wouldn't be an opportunity for us to go back and retrieve that data if the feds came to us after that 30-day window, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The part of the certifications that I talked about yesterday in the work session spoke to data security, but it also spoke to certifications around data sanitation and deletion. That there's several of those certifications that the Flock Safety has that at the 30-day mark that data is unrecoverable. So it would have to be within those 30 days.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Willis and Chief. Commissioner Rady. Commissioner Rady, you are on mute.
I'm usually so loud. I don't think I need a microphone. The 30 days. I asked Captain Burke about this, and he did not know the answer, but was going to get back to me, but I haven't heard back yet. And that is, does it roll over continuously, like every hour, every day, every week, or at the end of 30 days, does it wipe the last 30 days? I assume it doesn't. I assume it's rolling in some sense, but is that clear?
Yeah, I think what I've seen in the system is that the data that is collected that is date, time, and stamp, that upon the 30-day mark of the exact same date, time, and stamp, 30 days into the future, that individual record is deleted. And so it's a constant scrubbing of the data. It's not like every 30 days. And so you might have data that's in there that might be, you know, a little bit old or a little bit new. So it's constantly scrubbing.
I have one more comment, which is, if I remember it now, senior moment, I'll pass.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady and
I'll
Chief.
be back.
Okay. Raising my hand. It sounds like there's a lot going on, and it's an ongoing process to talk about this. Obviously, there's going to be more conversation with City Council, and so I do like with policy, I like having a foundation to work from. And if we don't have any policy at all, we have nothing to work from. So I would vote or would like to propose a motion to move forward with adopting the policy as is today, and know that maybe in a month, 2 months, 3 months, we're going to revisit this and we're going to have more conversations because there's probably going to be changes.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes.
There is a motion that's been made and seconded on the table that
Thank
says just
you,
that.
Counselor Groves. Thank you, Counselor Groves. Commissioner Rady.
Yes, I think that I was going to say exactly that, and that I think we should probably table the policy at this point. That is, do not approve it, do not disapprove it, put it aside for the moment for our next meeting. I do not find anything objectionable as the policy is written. My concerns are not with those matters which almost solely deal with how the EPD will handle this. I believe the concerns are with the federal government and FLOC and accessing data through that. I think this last discussion made quite clear that the data is far less valuable to the feds or anyone else than is being widely supposed. Tracking people to their homes and doctors, I don't think so. The problem that I have is that all the things that have been said, all the improved contract language that the department has worked out with FLOC, all is good. This policy is good. The safeguards are all there on paper. It's the fact that, as Ed Snowden revealed to us, if NSA, the National Security Administration, wishes to access any communications, data, or anything else, the federal government has the ability to get it. But that to me is not automatically an objection to license plate readers, it's an objection to data. And all right, I think we should, never mind tabling it, I think we should approve the policy. We can always amend it later in light of new developments, city council decisions, developments in the security field, anything else. But I think in order to have it in place, I would favor we vote in favor of it right now.
Counselor Groves, I did see your hand up. Did you want to add anything?
I think we ended up where the point I was going to make, so I'm fine not. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Groves. And thank you for the correction and that we are in active talk. Appreciate it. Commissioner Neal.
I think the only caveat I would have is I know Sergeant Jordan mentioned some edits that are sort of maybe minor but specific about some of the lines at the very end of the policy that um, I just like I hate to vote on it now and then vote on it next month with some revisions, or the chief you mentioned sort of noodling on some language related to specifics about the securities of this information. So I guess I'd want to know that like we're going to vote on it now, and then there's some expectation that we're going to wait to review it again, but like certainly review it again. It's like some sort of time certain thing when we have some more discussion from City Council that will be informative to the process. So I don't know if that's a clause that can be part of an approval of a policy, of not even approval, but a recommendation for this policy to be approved, where we have a time certain based on events and future information that we review it again, and it's part of our agenda. Seems funny to do that, but both of those things, I think, minor. If we're not going to review it again in a time certain, then I'd want to wait until we have the minor sort of edits included before we actually vote, because then we'll just have to vote on it again. And if we can make a time certain for the future, then I would vote to approve it today. Sorry if that's complicated.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Chief Skinner.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to lower my hand before I forget. We can certainly do that. I mean, whether you vote now and vote later, it's still the same amount of time you're spending on this, because we've been talking about it now for a period of time. I mean, you could vote on this thing, and Alice and I, we've always been very responsive to this commission. We could make those adjustments. We could send those out in email to show you that those adjustments have been made to be able to do that. The one thing that I would say long term is I keep hearing kind of the ongoing discussions we have with council, and we'll see where we end up with this. But just understand the work that you're doing here today, the good work you're doing here today is going to benefit somebody in the future, because there is going to be a future that this type of technology is going to be in your community. I promise you, part of my job is to look around the corner. I've been doing this for 35 years, and everything I never thought would happen in law enforcement has happened in law enforcement. There was a period of time where we never thought that we wouldn't handwrite citations, and here we are. I mean, it's that type of stuff. So think about doing the work for the long term. It may be long after I'm gone, and you'll have a new chief here that'll reintroduce this. But the work that you do now is going to be important work. It's good foundational work. I appreciate the conversation, and I think it will benefit the city and this police department, whether it's in the next 3 to 6 months or in the next 3 to 6 years. I still think it's important work to do. So while listening to the council and getting informed by the council on kind of what we're doing, I would still just encourage you to do the work that needs to be done around this type of technology.
Thank you, Chief. Is there, Sergeant Jordan and Chief Skinner, is there a timeline in adding on to what, or in addition to Commissioner Neal's comment, is there kind of a next benchmark time in which is there a known next date or time when updates will be made as of today to 1204, policy 1204?
So we don't have necessarily any set time frame to review any given policy, but if it'll just depend on what changes are needed. Of course, we always have a command directive that can alter a policy in lieu of making those adjustments in the immediate time frame. So we can make updates as needed, and then kind of codify those into the policy once we get our ducks in a row with that. So I don't know if that answers your question though.
It does. I think it sounds like it's going to be a living policy, and we're figuring it out as we go, and there we go. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I vote to approve it now, and then as needed or as things come up, which we do anyway as a commission, we address the policy if needed. So with that, do we have any other comments? Okay. I think I have it right. Shall we vote? Yes, I saw a nod from Counselor Groves. Yeah. All right. So we'll do all in favor of approving policy 1204 as it is this very moment. Ayes, all the ayes, please. And we'll raise hand. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll give it a minute. I apologize. Okay. I have 9 ayes. Do we have any nays? I'll give you a minute to take your hands down. Apologies. Okay. Do we have any nays? We'll give it just a minute.
It's just me, abstain. That's all. I think I'm last. I think that's it. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Okay, so we have 1 abstention and 10 yays, ayes. All right, so at this moment, we will be adopting, well, Commission has voted to adopt 1204 as it is today. Wonderful, and we're a minute early. So next policy topic we have is officer response to calls, policy 416. And Sergeant Jordan, did you have any comments, or Chief, did you have any comments on this, or do we want to just open it up for discussion?
I can give you a little kind of guidance here, I guess, or kind of share my thoughts. So this policy was up for revision just simply because you see the original date was 2014. So it's due for revision for that purpose. I know it was also on the commission's list of policies that you would have liked to review, so we set it for this. The reason that Commissioner Lyman specifically, I wanted you to know the reason we didn't do a red line copy on this. I made that choice because I pretty much just reformatted and almost retyped the whole thing based on how I wanted it to be organized, based on how some other agencies have done this. So new version and old version, very different in format, but mostly same information with a few updates. And what I did was add some definitions, and then you'll see kind of all the stuff that's highlighted in yellow was just kind of to draw your attention to those things that I wanted input on, and some of it's just very minute, and some of it I will check with city attorney on, things like that. So I would, I guess, leave it at that and open it up to questions that you all have for me and go from there.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan. Do we have any comments and or questions regarding policy? Commissioner Rady.
Yeah. It was not the easiest policy I have read yet in our discussions to entirely understand. And talking to an officer the other day, I found that it's yet more confusing for officers often. There's a lot of circumstances that are ambiguous. I noticed that the high-low siren is not considered a siren, and there are a number of places that an officer has to use judgment as to exactly which part of this policy applies and what to do. And I understand it can be confusing and stressful for the officers just trying to figure out their way through this, to do sometimes things they think they need to do. I would hope for more of an exposition about all the implications of this policy and how it applies so that we understand it better, because it was all new to me. I'm not saying it's badly written. I'm saying a lot of it is very situational and how one would interpret it in a given situation is less than clear to me from the policy. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Reedy. Chief Skinner.
Thanks, Chair. Just I appreciate Jack's comments or Commissioner Rady's comments. Sorry, I should have called you Commissioner Rady. You're just Jack to me sometimes. One of the challenges we have when we think about writing policy that I would just offer to the commission is that in our profession, there is a vernacular that is very common for us that it's not going to be common for you. If we try and write a policy, every policy that is easily understood by the layperson, and you and Commissioner Rady, you more than most understand this because you've been on these ride-alongs, you've really embedded yourself. You've been chasing police officers down for 70 years of your life. I totally get that. But I want to be careful about how we get to a place where we write a policy that is easily, like, profoundly and easily understood by somebody that has no basis of knowledge of the work that we do. That might be challenging. Not to mention, my policy book would like quadruple in size if we did that. So just know that there may be some areas that we can certainly clean up and make it more clear, but there's going to be some areas that really, this is, as much as I like the fact that these are public facing and people have a chance to look at this, when you think about this type of policy, which is really, really operational, we want to make sure our cops really understand it more than anything.
Thank you, Chief. Sergeant Jordan.
Thank you. I just wanted to piggyback on that. I do have to admit it is kind of a technically written policy, I guess, in terms of the terminology. It's not as accessible, and a lot of that is because it comes out of those OARs and the ORS, which I attached to your packet. So that is part of it. So I can appreciate that, Commissioner Rady. And so thanks for pointing that out. I also want to point out that some of this doesn't reflect that in training, our field training program and in our pre-academy, officers are very intimately exposed to all of the different scenarios and taught how to kind of differentiate and how to apply this policy as they, begin their career. So it's kind of like Chief Skinner was saying, that it's less relatable until you're kind of in that situation and applying it on a daily basis. So, but I can appreciate that it's not as clear. So thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan. Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you. Yeah, my comment is on the highlighted questions. I just felt for this policy, they were more appropriately law enforcement questions. Like I don't feel like I should answer some of the addition of the scenarios, crimes in progress observed during that, that those series of comments like seem to me that you fill them in the way you want them and then come to us and say, like, does this sound like a good policy? And we can, use our life experience and make decisions. But this one, other than in the past, it just struck me as more the blanks need to be filled in by the Leos, and then we can do the, the policy wonks. We can do the rest. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Can it be as simple as, no, nothing's that simple. Adding the OAR specific to kind of the definitions of things. So, for example, emergency and what that really dictates in OARs specific to EPD and that triage piece. Could you plug some of those in there to help if somebody did have questions or wanted to look back on something and kind of noodle down the rabbit hole of policy?
I think you're asking me that, Chair Folks. So yeah, I mean, I do have them in the document. And so if we need to adjust that and if there's a way to do that, I welcome all recommendations on that. So those are in the definitions of the different levels of kind of a call response, code 1, code 2, code 3. The other thing I would say, I don't know if that answers your question, but we could try to expand on that. I wanted to also respond to Commissioner Lyman. I agree. These were more so that you could transparently see kind of what consideration we were taking as we make revisions to this policy, just to ensure that we were considering all of these kind of aspects. And like I said, some of it is, yeah, let's get input, and then we need to make sure and do our final vetting process with the city attorney, and things like that. So, but I appreciate that acknowledgement there.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan, and you absolutely answered my question because I didn't read. And I didn't see the OARs in there, and they're absolutely in there. So thank you. Chief Skinner.
So this policy is very, very akin to, for instance, the pursuit policy that we have, which in the sense that these policies have a tendency to shift and adjust depending on who the leadership is of the organization. So this is directly in my wheelhouse to be able to say what I'm comfortable with or not comfortable with, for instance, running code 2 or not running code 2. And that may change when a new chief is here. They may do something different. So I think for purposes of today, I love the fact that Allison has brought your attention or drawn your eyes to the areas that are a little bit discretionary based on the leadership. I think we can go back and with the work that Allison and I can do together is make some recommendations here based on what I think is the right approach and the most justifiable approach for this police department, and then bring it back to you and show you what that new content is and give you a chance to say, we don't agree with you, or you have a different approach. But we're happy to do that work. I think, Allison just wanted to make sure you knew where we were going to really be putting our effort in doing that work. And outside of it, now remember, OAR and ORS kind of set the baseline. You cannot exceed this authority, but we can certainly be more restrictive. And that's my drive. Like right now, a great example is ORS allows you to pursue for an awful lot of things, but our pursuit policy is really tight. And that's because we have chosen not to pursue for the same things that the ORS would allow us to pursue. So this is another example of that. And we can do some of that work if that's helpful.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Rady.
It'll work this time. We have previously on other items of policy had experts, whether officers or outside specialists, come in to give us testimony about all the implications of policy that we're working on. I may be the only one, and I may be just slowing things down here, but I would, because of some conversations I've had about how this works in practice, I would be more comfortable voting on this policy if we had someone, say, from patrol come in and explain to us how each aspect of it works or doesn't work. Maybe not every single aspect of it because it's fairly detailed, but I don't have a real grasp of where the edges of this policy are operationally, what it means. And I have heard that of officers getting in some trouble in the gray areas at the edges of one policy or of the one part of the policy or another, without understanding they were doing anything wrong. I may have been misinformed, but I would feel more comfortable if I had some more information on the application of this.
I will tell you that Sergeant Jordan and I are not offended by your desire to have a real police officer attend this meeting. I don't know, maybe Allison's offended.
Oh boy. Thank you, Commissioner Rady. Commissioner Wilgus.
Well, I was just going to offer that I feel like we do have an expert with us. I think Sergeant Jordan could offer any of her expertise as a person who's been in the field and operated a vehicle and all the things that I have every confidence she could give us the information we need.
Thank you, Commissioner Vilgas. Uh, could we have a baby cop and a medium cop and a seasoned cop come in? Just get a variety show
You
going?
you always have the ability to ask me to invite one of my staff members to join a meeting to be able to share their experiences. I have for years enjoyed their opportunity to get to know this commission. I will tell you that this particular group, I've got a tremendous amount of confidence in. There was a period of time though I was a little protective of my staff coming to commission, but I'm feeling very comfortable about that. So if there's something we can do to help facilitate the movement of this forward, we could come back with some recommendations based on Allison and I's work, and it'll certainly be informed by our patrol staff. And if you want some access to somebody that's actually in the field practicing this every single day, I'm happy to find the right personality to do that.
Thank you, Chief. And can we also have a canine? I would like to properly request a patrol and a canine unit too, please. I'm kidding.
Just for you, Chair, we will bring one of the dogs so that you can get your dog love during the commission meeting.
Thank you. It's self-care truly for everyone involved. Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you. Just a process question. So the policy comes before us for review. The Sergeant Jordan provides, if I'm understanding correctly, the yellow comments like this is what we're reviewing it. It hasn't been looked at in a long time. This is what EPD thinks like are ways that you commissioners might want to think that it could change. I could be wrong, and whether Julie Sergeant Barong, did it different. Obviously it's a new day, it's a new commission, but I would have had no problem if you had come with the red line or however you did it, incorporating the yellow comments that you made into how you would suggest this policy be updated because we're terrible at wordsmithing. Like it will totally fail if this commission tries in the moment to make changes to, it really is more of an editing that's my thing about the red line. But I'm not criticizing how it comes to us today, but for us to take action from a process standpoint, I don't know what to do other than say, yeah, if you EPD want to make changes because it's not been looked at in a long time, just throw them at us and let us decide. So, and you do it anyway, whether we say yes or no. But the point being that the us doing actual wordsmithing based on suggestions is not realistic in my personal view. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Sergeant Jordan.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify before I forget. Commissioner Rady, could you give examples of kind of what type of scenarios you're wanting to explore or hear about? Oh, you're muted.
I heard one. And the one I heard involved a community service officer with a van who was somewhere either close to the river or north of it, and heard on the radio of a guy wandering down the street about 30th, carrying what appeared to be an AK-47 and muttering threats. And this officer had a drone in his van and thought that would be useful to have checking this guy out before an officer has to get within line of sight of that AK. The AK, incidentally, turned out to be a bomb. But that wasn't known at the time. But the officer went lights and sirens, went code 3 to get there, to get the drone on station sooner, and then spent a good deal of time in IA explaining why he had done this. And I understand reading it, I had the impression there was a lot of kind of gray areas. Go fast, but not too fast. And if you go too slow, you didn't do it right. If you went too fast, you didn't do it right, and you're in some trouble. So a little more clarity would help in that regard. I assume this was a true story I heard. I don't know. Anything I hear is just what I hear. I didn't see it. But I was made aware that there are these situations.
Thank you, Commissioner Reedy. Chief Skinner.
I'm going to steal your thunder, Allison. So what I will say is I don't often talk about an investigation that's actively ongoing. In this particular case, the other thing I will say is this policy only only allows for police officer response to calls. A community service officer is not at this juncture allowed to respond code 2 or 3 to anything. But I will also say that I'll be seeking an administrative order because we have to change ordinance language or charter. I don't remember which one it is, Allison, with an administrative order from the city manager to allow for our professional staff, CSOs that have the right emergency vehicle equipment and are trained to be able to respond in an expeditious fashion when they're attached to these special teams. That is it's kind of a one-off type of fluky situation that you're talking about, but it's getting addressed. And we've recognized a way that we can move forward and be a little bit more responsive. There's been times until just recently, I'll just let you know from a commission, when we think about retention of our folks, one of the things that I've been really purposeful about is identifying those special teams that our professional staff can be a part of, not just our law enforcement professionals. And the drone team is one of those. And there is some emergency response attached to it. And so we have to now break open the ability for them to respond emergently. So we're working on it, and I think we'll get it fixed. So
Thank you, Chief. Sergeant Jordan.
Thank you, Chief, for talking about that. I wanted to respond to one more thing that Commissioner Rady, you wondered about the gray area. And I just wanted to kind of, I guess, talk about the fact that we can bring a subject matter expert in. That is going to be anybody that's essentially on patrol or maybe somebody who's a trainer, potentially. But the bottom line is this policy is never going to be not gray in certain areas because so much of it does rely on an officer's discretion, and it's very situational. And so I don't know that we can make this that much more specific, but I'm always happy to consider, and I think the chief would agree, we're always happy to consider how can we tighten it up and make it so that our officers aren't getting into trouble, so that they have very clear guidelines where they can, and do that work. But I just want to make sure you're aware and realistic about what we can and can't do, really, and for the benefit of the officers. I don't want to also be over specific and then lock them into an unsafe situation or a scenario where they should be acting but think they can't. So just food for thought.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan. Commissioner Rady.
Yeah, I'm mostly asking not for changes in the policy to make it more clear in places where discretion, and judgment is involved. I'm asking for the information in order to make it clearer to us, so I understand better. Okay, where is that gray area? What are the boundaries of it? How is that? Okay, then I understand what it means in practice, and then I have a better understanding.
Real quick, if I could, Chair. I guess I would say that's kind of what I had come here tonight, hoping that there would be questions about specific things like that, that we could address. If you have those now, I'm happy to hear them. I think the chief would be also. I know we're running low on time. If not, my plan is that we will make the adjustments to the policy. We will revise it, and you can see from this version where we're headed with it. So my hope was that we would come back with that final version, and then we would have a very short review period on that in our next session or when it's back on the agenda. So if you have pertinent questions now, I'm very happy to try and answer those, because like the chief said, and the chair, both he and I have patrolled and have gone code 3, code 2, code 1. We've lived this policy for I mean, some iteration of it for most of our career. So yeah.
Thank you, Sergeant Jordan. Thank you, Commissioner Rady. So do we want to move to table? After we get to see the canine?
I think, Chair, what would be, in the interest of time, what would be great is just a commitment by this commission to review these highlighted areas and feel free to email Sergeant Jordan with any specifics that you'd like us to consider, and then we would bring back what we feel to be our best and final product for consideration, and certainly find a way in that document to call out those edits so that your eyes are easily drawn to what the new additions are in that document.
Thank you, Chief. I don't know what that means in the realm of what I'm supposed to say next. If I was supposed to make a motion to table to give feedback, any and all commissioners who might be Commissioner Rady.
Move to table.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady. Thank you, Vice Chair Bradley. Commissioner Espinoza Blake.
I would move to let them make the changes, bring it back to us, and we'll approve it. I mean, we'll talk about it, and I think it doesn't tabling it mean that we're going to move it along.
Tabling means that we're gonna hold off for now, and then we're gonna come back to it at a later date. And please correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. So yeah,
That's correct.
we're not gonna vote
Means it
yay or
comes up
nay.
next meeting.
Yes. Okay.
After they highlight how they change, they're going to make the changes and then highlight them. Is that right?
That's my understanding. And if we have any suggestions, we can email them and let them know after reading it if we do have recommendations, and they can bring that back to us as well.
Okay.
Excellent question. Thank you. Okay, so all in favor of tabling at this time, please raise your hand. I'm just gonna give it a moment. Well, that was easy. That's unanimous. All right. Excellent. Well, then I don't need to ask for anything else. Wonderful. Okay, so we have commissioner comments. Oh, wait, hold on. Closing comments, pardon me. Closing comments for our agenda, our last meeting agenda item. So I'm gonna start with Counselor Groves.
I've said enough already. Pass.
Thank you, Counselor Groves. Commissioner Donovan.
I'm just excited to be here. So thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Donovan. Commissioner Wilgus.
I appreciate the conversation this evening. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilgus, and we hope you feel better. Commissioner Bertrand.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate the discussions that we've had today. I will say, going back on the our first vote, if you will, tonight regarding the um, technology and so forth. I did vote yes, but I fully expect, as Commissioner Neal had mentioned earlier, for us to go ahead and get more information and for us to um, get that in. And so that is kind of my reasoning of voting yes instead of abstaining. And so I fully expect to learn more and for us to go ahead and I'm getting more details later on.
Thank you, Commissioner Bertrand. Vice Chair Bradley.
Thank you, Chair. Just look forward to the ongoing discussion about LPR technology and appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bradley. Commissioner Rady.
Thanks, Chair. I would like to apologize to Sergeant Jordan for suggesting we needed some other outside expert, but it's really nice to get the commission a chance to meet all kinds of different people from the department. We get to see you all the time and appreciate you, but it's 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 part of our education to hear from others. So that was not meant as a slight. I knew you knew stuff. The second, I'd just like to make a point about the ALPRs that I'm part. We have heard large turnouts at commission meetings, at city council, and other places of people who were organized and mobilized come down to object to them. I am also on a Facebook neighborhood page where there's just random discussions of everything from where to find a plumber to look at my cat. But occasionally issues in the public come up, and one of them has been the license plate readers. And I can say that the sentiment is about evenly split of those expressing it. I have no idea what that means for the population, but there's as many people saying, leave the police alone and let them do their damn job, please. As they're saying, get these horrible surveillance devices out of here before we become North Korea. So it's not as one-sided as it may sometimes appear when we have a motivated audience. I would like to say to Commissioner and Chair folks, nicely done. Well-chaired meeting. We moved right along, and it's going to get better and better as we go. I'm really pleased. And finally, because I am the commission bad boy, I just have to say this. I want to thank the gentleman who asked for my removal, because this time he pronounced my name correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reedy. Councillor Ye.
Thanks, Chair. I just want to appreciate having our new folks. It's nice to have a full, I think we have a full commission now, right? Hopefully I'm counting right. And it's been a little while. So that is very exciting to have all our positions and have lots of different, oh, are we not full yet? I don't know. But having so many diverse voices and everyone had different things to say, and that is super helpful, I think, for our process. So glad to have everyone here and very looking forward to meeting you in actual person. So looking forward to the future.
Thank you, Councillor Ye. We have one more. I haven't checked in with the city manager to see who or if somebody has been filled. So there's one more vacancy. I don't know where that is in the realm of things, but hopefully we'll have some updates soon. Okay.
And we're going to shoot for November. I'm gonna make this work for November, Amelia. So
thank you, Chief. And thank you for everybody. There are so many, one thing, well, let me get everybody in, pardon me. But I want to just thank you, Chief. Commissioner Espinoza Blank.
Yeah, don't forget me. Just wanted to reiterate, you know what, Clarie, thank you very much for getting all this paperwork together and getting us all on the computer. I really appreciate your help and your work. And welcome again to the two new commissioners. We appreciate you coming in. And it sounds like we're going to do our best to try to get in person. And that way we could all start to have eye-to-eye contact and see our faces and get to know each other a little bit better. Chief Skinner, I so appreciate you. And you're with some newbies, and I appreciate your humor, and I appreciate you going and kind of explaining how things work. I know your time is very valuable, and I really, really appreciate that you make time to be here with us so that we could understand and try to lay some good groundwork, because we're taking this very serious. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Espinoza Blank. Commissioner Neal.
Yeah, sorry that I'm on and off camera. One benefit of virtual meetings is I did have to leave town tonight sort of fast, and I'm now in a vehicle, so that's why I'm off camera. But it's been good to be able to participate in the meeting because I care about these policies. And so thank you for this time allowing for that. Welcome to the new members, and I do really look forward to being in person.
Thank you, Commissioner Neal. Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you, Chair. Earlier in the meeting, in a couple places, hit upon like the role of the police commission and its advisory nature and it's not an oversight, and all of those things are true. However, for us citizen members of the Police Commission, we're the only public facing group with access. I mean, and things happen in our community. The reason we have oversight, the reason we have civilian involvement is because the dynamic nature of policing and the good and the bad. And so I think I will defend any commissioner on this commission's right to come in and respectfully put an issue on the table or ask the chief about something that, it's not just a review of a policy. I think that that is an important piece of it. And I know the city vets us, and I know that, we're managed as a group. We are managed, and that's fine. But I think that it's not like arguing for severe independence. It's just saying to the citizen members, remember, like we have constituencies, there's people that, are gonna, so there are some responsibilities, and I think it's a little bit of a bleed over. And I think the opening comments are a good place for it, and the chief's report is a good place for it. But, and in recent history, we've had some bad experiences with that when people come in and are not respectful to the police or to the chief, and that's wrong, or don't understand the role in the process. But with a complete understanding of what our role is, there still is that role that I'm advocating. And I want to welcome the new folks and thank Sergeant Jordan and Chief for your help tonight. And Chair, thank you for your help, and thanks for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Yeah, thank you everyone for just hanging tough. It feels like coming into this role, everything changed all at once. And it was like confetti. So your patience and kindness with me and with this whole process is, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all. I really am stoked to take this role on and be a chair that's hopefully just and gives you all space to work and do all the amazing stuff that we have planned on our work plan. Tonight was an amazing meeting. Thank you all. Thank you, Clary, for jumping in and getting our agenda fixed and getting it done. I'm really appreciative of the communication we all have together. I really like that as well. So thank you and welcome new commissioners. It's so exciting to have you. You get a fancy name plaque once we're in person, so that's also fun too. So yes, we will be in person again one day. It will be wonderful. Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.